What's up, y'all? Javar from DUSAFARMS. Today, I'm going to be answering some of you guys' questions. The first question is from Sasha Brown, and they asked a two-part question. What nutrients do you use for your Autopots? The nutrients that I use with my Autopots, I use Drip Hydro. That's the only thing I've used so far with the Autopots. I have the powder formulation now, and then I also have Athena over on the side. I may check that out. And then I'll probably end up going crop salts. Got a lot of homies in the Discord that use crop salts, so make sure you hop over and on the Discord. And we've got a legend over there pushing phosphorus and several others that are killing it with the Autopots, and they're the people that put me on the Autopots. So I feel like if you go to the Discord and chat with those people, they'll really get your head pointed in the right direction with that. I'll try to help as much as I can. I feel like as long as you have any sort of nutrient that is water soluble in anything that you plants would normally uptake and has some sort of batch tank longevity, then you're going to be good to go. And that's going to be most nutrients in the synthetic realm, because a lot of them are mixed into a reservoir and then left to sit and water the plants from there. So there's a ton of options you can use. So whatever you're currently using may also work with the Autopots. And you can also check out Autopots, their website. They'll probably have some information on recommended products to use with it. And then the next question, is a carbon filter necessary, or can you use it in an inline fan, or just use an inline fan? So the carbon filter is definitely not necessary. Fan necessary, not just actual like an oscillating fan or something to really get air moving. But obviously you're asking more of the realm of like the exhaust inline fans and not a standard fan, which is why you said inline. And with the inline fan, you could run that solely by itself just like I said, as a form of exhaust to, lower humidity, help control that, as well as temperature. It can do a lot. It could help fluctuate that number quite a bit between the two of those, because obviously when you're pulling out, you turn it up, you get to pulling out more humidity, which is more air coming out. And then when you turn it up, once you turn it up, you get to pulling out more air, which then results in the humidity coming out, as well as you're pulling that hot air out, which I like to place mine at the top. I feel like that's like the best area because the humidity and all the warm air rises. Carbon filter isn't really necessary unless you're trying to catch smell and other things. It can catch things and impurities in the air and whatnot like that, but you could just get an air purifier for that if that's what you want, something that can tell you the air quality. But as far as the carbon filter, it's just gonna, maybe you smoke in there, maybe your plants, that's its only sole purpose is just kind of helping you pop the smell. But if you're a person that's rocking the tent open or not even in a tent at all and just an open space, they're good. I love them. I use them. I help control the smell with them. But at the same time, they are not necessary at all. But the inline fan or something to exhaust the humidity or heat is a lot more necessary than something like the carbon filter attachment itself. You can wait to get it in flower. You don't have to get it at the start because they don't really smell too much in veg, and they pick up later on towards flower. The next question is from WC Ryder, and they asked, is FloraFlex nutrients good? I've heard a lot. I've not personally used them, but I have heard a lot of people, suggest them. They love them. They've had great results in them. Someone that has been a big proponent and put me onto them actually is Madam Reefer. So check her out on Instagram, and you can see the results for yourself, and it can help make up your mind. Eventually, I do plan to use it. But just off of, personal experience, I can't say oh my gosh, this is good. But I do trust the opinions on these other growers, and they're crushing it. So I will say I believe it to be a good nutrient. The next question, I like this one. It's from user J. It's just a random one, all right? I just lost my first DWC grow because I had some weird gelatin growing on my roots. After researching about it, I think it is a cyanobacteria. Sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing things. Do you know how to save my future grow if it happens again? Now I add hydrozyme to my water and some peroxide. I also switch my nutrients to Remo Elements. Not familiar with Remo Elements at all. Never heard of them, not one bit. You're the first person to tell me about that, so I have to look into them. Do you know how to save my future growth if this happens again? All right, so that gelatin, for the nutrients, it could be, I'm glad you stated that, is because I have no knowledge of them or whatnot. I don't know if is that an organic amendment? Is that more is it a thicker? Is it, more water soluble type of nutrient, or is it not? And that's the main thing when it comes to DWC. You want something that is extremely water soluble, meaning that it's not going to separate from the water and gunk everything up, which is what that gelatin could be, because I've definitely run into that using not just the nutrients but also the other additives. I used something to treat root rot in my DWC, and I had to use it in extremely low dosage, and that was revitalized, because certain things, they're not as water soluble. So if you have a high concentration of them, the likeliness and the more that they separate from that water is going to be more abundant, and it's going to cause issues. And that revitalized was one of those things that did it to me. So I would only use that when I would run into issues of root rot, and I would use a very low dosage of it because it's highly concentrated. And then as far as any other additives, it's the same exact thing. You want to make sure that they can sit there, and if they're not that soluble, or if they are like initially, and then after like 3-4 days, that's when they start to separate, well, then maybe you just got to change, instead of doing like weekly or bi-weekly water changes or something like that. Whenever you typically refill your reservoir and change everything out, you may have to do that a lot sooner to help keep everything sterile, because they can start clogging up, of course, attacking and attaching to those roots, depriving them of oxygen, as well as just actually taking out the entire oxygen in the system by clogging up the Airstones. And then you also stated, I think it is a cyanobacteria, and that is also could possibly be a sole cause of that issue. But what I was saying was just something that I've experienced, and I have no idea what a cyanobacteria is, so that is something else I'll have to look into. The next question we have is from BioMoser4349, and they ask, what size Airstones, if any, do you use? I'm glad you asked if any, because there are definitely times when I've just popped the Airstone out because I was running into issues with clogging, or just maybe like a loose silicone or sealant at the top, and the air would just be leaking out, so I would just use, there would be no like small dissolved bubbles. It'd just be big bubbles from the actual tube itself. So I'm actually glad that, and you can do that. I've done it several times from start to finish. But typically the Airstones I'll use are these right here. I thought it'd be easier to show you. I just finished up a grow, so I actually just had them by me. This right here, I believe, is the 2x4, and this being a 2.2, I think. I cannot remember the exact measurements of them, but I'm pretty sure that this one is about, half of my palm, where this was more like a fourth, because it's half of the size of that. So I'm pretty sure 2.2, 4.4, and I like those. Depending on if you have a really strong pump, then I think this is like the 2.2 is like the perfect one. But if you have something like this, if you don't have a strong pump, then obviously, it's going to push and come out up at the top instead of like fully coming out and getting, the full benefit of getting all those bubbles dissolved through it. So you're probably going to be sitting around with not enough pressure, and it's just going to be sitting all coming at the top. That's where all the bubbles would be, because there's not enough pressure to push them out anywhere else, because the air is just quickly, leaving or whatever. And then this one right here, the smaller, weaker pumps are able to fully push and pump out a lot of bubbles with these, and even the bigger ones it's not like they're going to shoot off and fly anywhere and blow up. So I would definitely go with these. At the least is the 2.2. I have used like the smaller, like the 1-inch ones, the 2 1-inch ones. And those, I didn't like those. They were very tiny, and even with the big pump, they just didn't put out a lot of bubbles. So I think I would go the 2.2 for my most recommended size for the Airstones. The next question is from Toker406. They said, what are your thoughts on banana tea? Have you heard of it, and would you use it? I have not used it, but I'm pretty sure I have heard of it through the homie 420 scene. I'm pretty sure he was talking about banana tea. I remember like maybe a year, 2, 3 years ago seeing a video where he released really hyping up banana tea, because he was a huge, helped him out a lot in his grow. But me personally, I haven't done it. I don't really do the organics. I'm actually having my first organic run as of right now. So make sure you check that out. Stay tuned to the channel, because you're going to see the progress from start to finish, seed to harvest of my first organic run. But yeah, I have not used it. I haven't dabbled in that stuff too much. I did make like a little tea one time when I was in soil at the beginning. Don't know if it helped or whatnot. There was still a lot. I didn't know about NPK and all these different things. It was just all so confusing. I was very new. But yeah, I have no experience with the banana tea. I'm assuming you're an organic grower. I'm just getting there. Next question is from Wyatt Home. What are your thoughts on Rockwool versus Coco? If you've tried both, if not, do soil versus Coco. I have not other than, you know, Rockwool, I've only used that for clones. In which, when it comes to clones in the Coco, you know, or little peat moss or whatnot, those cubes, I lean more towards the cubes over the Rockwool, but I still do like the Rockwool, and I still do use it to this day. It goes back and forth on which I have better success with, so it's pretty neutral on that ground. But as far as like actual like fully adult plant growing, I have not grown in Rockwool. I know a lot of people use like the 6 inches and they place slabs down and all these other things, but I have no, you know, experience with it. I've heard it's very difficult in Rockwool, and the big proponent of that is, and why I came to Coco, was just the water content, you know, its ability to get fully saturated, like 90% plus. That's a lot of water. It holds a lot of water, which is going to derive the plants from a lot of oxygen, because being suffocated by all that water, and then I feel like you could just run into so many issues. I don't know. I'll have to experience it and check it out, but I feel like, you know, Coco, I've always heard it's a lot more forgiving, so I've just stuck with the Coco for that. But Coco versus soil, to me, there's like no debate about it. Like, I think, for my personal experience, everybody's gonna have their own, you know, different, you know, view on it and what they have better success with. But me personally, I love Coco way more. I'm a, you know, I don't use, you know, I feel like soil for the organic route, of course, you know, it just makes a lot more sense. You know, soil natural, you know, there's nutrients in there that makes a lot more sense to, you know, have a soil when you're going the organic route. But I know people still use Coco in that, due to like the aeration, you know, the just increasing the oxygen within the root zone. But I personally just like Coco way more because I'm a synthetic grower. Love the salts, man. It's just a lot easier, and that just pairs a lot better with it versus something that already has nutrients in it. So it's pretty much just kind of like the same as DWC with how you have the clay pebbles in there. You know, the Coco, it's not really doing anything for the plant other than holding those roots and allowing you to give the plant what it needs through its water. So I'm going to go Coco all day, but somebody may say the complete opposite. Me, it's all preference thing at the end of the day. All right, next question is from Scipio Nigger. I can't say that motherfucking word without Niggerianus. Oh my God, bro. I don't mean to laugh at your name, but it's just, for one, I just saw the first part, and the way I said it initially, I was like, damn. You know, if I wasn't black, you know, if I wasn't half black, and then, you know, followed by the second part, ain't it? So I don't know if it's a joke or whatnot, but definitely got me. So first time grower here, please, I have a question. I have a bedroom and I'm not using it anymore, and I'd like to convert it to a grow room. Glad you have this space. It's a 10 by 10 space. So we got 100 square feet. I think my math is wrong on that. No, it's not. So I'm driving it with a tarp and a mylar sheets. Okay, perfect. That's great. I love those looks when they put the, you know, the poly film up, the panda film, whatever, and they got the walls covered. I want to eventually do my space like that, but my walls are already white, so I kind of kept it. And then I've been debating about, you know, going with the tents, changing those out to the white wall tents. But yeah, I always think that's a really clean, cool look. I like to know how you would fit it in a 10 by 10 space. So I do not understand the question for how to fit that in a 10 by 10 space, so I just can't answer. I'm pretty lost because I don't even know what I'm trying to fit in there. Is it the mylar sheets? The tarp? I don't know. I like to know how many plants you would fit in this space. Oh, so that's just like that's not a question. You just like to know general information, and these are your questions to follow. Gotcha. So I like to know how many plants you would fit in this space. Are you all 10 by 10? Like, how are you trying to do this? There's a lot to be said. Is that all going to be flowering space? Are you going to have that space just the full grow entirely, and then you need a veg space and a flower space? Or, you know, what is the case for that? I'm assuming it's the second one where you're going to have some sort of like veg area and a flower area, or it's all going to be one area. We're just going to do 3-4 harvests a year in that. Either way, that's a pretty big space, and you can get some great results at it. My recommendation on that would be to not go the full route when you're trying to get like 3-4 harvests, unless that's what you want to do. You know, everything's going to be in its own thing. But I feel like at the end of the day, in that case, you're always going to be popping seeds or whatever. I feel like if you set, you know, like a little veg area up in there, whether you structure that off with its own little film going across, maybe make like a little zipper and kind of make it its own little tent covey area. That's one way to do it, a lot cheaper than putting up a wall. Or you could also just place a tent in there, and that be your little veg, and then the rest of the room be flower, or the whole entire room, you know, multiple tents, some veg, some flower, however you want to do it. But my recommendation is to have some sort of area for veg, because it's going to allow you to experiment and play with a lot of different things, from clones to, you know, popping more beans, you know, pheno hunting throughout veg and see which one's like, oh yeah, this is getting thrown out, I don't want this one to be in flower. And it allows you to like pick the strongest out of the bunch. So not really, you know, pheno hunting is like the entire grow where you're trying to see the, you know, the flower end result and all that. So I won't say pheno hunting, but just more so like those phenos that you do want to head on over to flower and, you know, just not waste up space because there's not too much potential with the, you know, their growth pattern so far. Next question is from That Hydro Couple. Shout out to them, recognize that name. Thoughts on the easiest and successful way to create feminized seeds? I'm not a breeder by no means, but from the little research that I have done on the topic, I could be saying it wrong, I could be messing up, could be completely using the wrong ingredient, but I'm pretty sure it's colloidal or something silver. And you just miss that on the plants, and then from there it just reverts it over into like a Hermie, like a male, and then boom, from there you know, go get to pollinate your other females or whatnot. That's just like a quick synopsis of how that thing works, and I believe from my little research I've done, that seems like the easiest way to do it. But yeah, that's it for today's questions. If you guys have any, make sure you leave them below in the comment section. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But if not, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. So we'll go from there, and I'll try to learn. You know, I'll hit you up on the side, and we'll try to figure it out together. But that's going to be it. I appreciate you guys so much for watching the video. Until next time, peace.